up, language learning masters? Yeah, that's what you're going to become here at Natural Languages. Well, I'm actually super excited today because, I'm bringing you a really hot topic because it's probably one of the most important things when it comes to learning a language. And yeah, it's the one question that I'm asked the most, it's the $1 million question. Like, how long does it take to learn a language? Okay. And I wanted to record this video for two main reasons. One of them is to give you a reference point, a real, honest, and fact-based reference point, okay? Because, I actually, with one of the languages that I speak, I actually monitor every single thing I did and how long it took me, all right, for the entire period. And so, stick with me because later on I'm going to give you the actual numbers, okay, to give you a reference point. But like I said, it's going to be slightly different depending on the language, depending on the person, depending on whether you're starting from scratch or not. But I think it's going to be quite useful and it's going to be a good reference point for you guys, all right? And the second reason why I wanted to record this video, I mean, they're obviously connected, but the second reason is because I'm tired of those videos in which people claim to have learned a language in 3 months or 2 months or 1 month or a week, or even there's some people that go as far as to claim that they learn a language in 24 hours. Come on. Anyway, but the thing is, I mean, that's impossible. That's clear. And I'm going to give you the numbers in a moment, all right? But the thing is, it really pisses me off because if a video like that is watched by, say, 500,000 people, in my eyes, that 500,000 people are going to feel frustrated afterwards. And I know what I'm talking about because I've been there. I've gone through it before, because of what I call the traditional grammar approach that takes you nowhere. We know that already, okay? I wasn't able to learn English. I wanted to communicate in English. I could pass a grammar exam, but I couldn't communicate. So I was frustrated. And all I tried was the traditional grammar approach that took me nowhere, of course, right? And many times when you feel frustrated, you try shortcuts or you try to find magic formulas. So you go online, you go on YouTube, for instance, or any blog or whatever it is, and you find those videos. How I learn language, X, Y, Z language in a month. And all of a sudden you feel excited. Okay, this can be done. I can do that as well. And at the very beginning, you're super pumped out. You're super excited. But what happens afterwards when you actually can learn the language? Because you can learn the language in a month. And I can't. And nobody can. Okay? Yeah. So what happens is you end up more frustrated than you were before you watched that video. Right? Because what's going to happen here is you're going to try to replicate everything that person told you to do, and you're not going to learn the language because it's impossible, not because there's something wrong with you. And even if on an intellectual level, intellectual point of view, you kind of understand or kind of knew that you weren't going to be able to learn a language in a month, I think on subconscious level, you're thinking, okay, that person says he or she learned a language in a month, and I couldn't. So there, what's the difference there? The difference between both processes is the person. That's what your mind tells you. So it has to be me. I must be the problem, and that's why people think that they're not good at languages. They're not talented for languages. They're never going to learn a language. They're too old to learn a language, etc., right? But it has nothing to do with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You can learn a language. Yeah, any language you want by enjoying the process every step of the way. But it's not going to take you a month. I can guarantee you that. But don't worry, because it's not going to take you 10 years either. I'm going to give you the numbers in a moment, okay? And I'm going to compare them to these claiming videos that I was talking about, to give you, to put it into perspective as well, all right? So, I want to be clear in this, and you're going to see what I mean in a moment. Because actually, everything, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about how I learned Italian, okay? How I monitor everything I did to learn Italian, all right? And I'm going to leave the document in the first comment down below, okay, in the comment section, so you guys can access it. And well, the document is written in Spanish, all right, but I'm gonna get it translated. I'm gonna translate it. And so by the time you're watching this video, the English version might be available already. But even if it's not, and you don't really understand Spanish yet, at the end of each chapter, which equals a month of my learning process, you're gonna see the numbers anyway, okay? So you don't really need to understand Spanish to see the numbers, all right? But yeah, I'm gonna leave it down there in first comment, okay? So after I tell you the numbers, you can go there and take a look, yeah. And don't worry, because you don't have to sign up for anything, just one click and you'll see the numbers, believe me. Nothing wrong with it, okay. Well, subscribe to my channel, by the way, thank you. And yeah, so here come the numbers. Well, actually, I started learning Italian 3 years ago, okay? So I'm gonna talk about the background a little bit. I started learning Italian 3 years ago, and I started from scratch, okay? I have never tried to learn Italian before. And so, but I wanted to give in mind that I started from scratch, and I'm a native Spanish speaker, so Italian and Spanish are somewhat related, somewhat similar, okay? So I want you to understand that it's a special case, okay? But here come the numbers, finally. Approximately, it took me around 500 hours of exposure to the language to get to a point in which I was able to communicate, okay? I was able to communicate naturally, all right, but there was a huge room for improvement, okay? So I don't want you to think that I'm saying that it took me 500 hours to reach fluency. No, not even close, okay? But don't worry, because you're gonna see that it's not actually that much, okay? So yeah, approximately 500 hours of exposure to the language, okay? I'm only talking about input because we already know that comprehensible input is the key to the entire process. So I wasn't even worried about output because I knew it was gonna come, all right? And I actually documented the parts in which I actually use the language, but I don't count them as within those 500 hours. Within those 500 hours. So it's all about input. Okay, perfect. And so I've talked about it before. I started watching cartoons because they were comprehensible for me because of the similarities between both languages. If I was to try to learn Chinese, I wouldn't be able to understand even cartoons from the beginning, okay? So I would need classes. But anyway, started watching cartoons. Then how the cartoons? Well, I started watching cartoons for 15, 20 minutes a day, okay? Peppa Pig, stuff like that, easy stuff. Then I moved on to harder cartoons, or cartoons for older children. So I started watching 20 minutes, 25. Then documentaries. And I personally love travel documentaries. So I started watching travel documentaries. And that's already a way more interesting research, at least for me. Like, I'm fine with cartoons, they're okay, but in the long run, travel documentaries, they're way more interesting, okay? So then it was half an hour a day, something like that. And then until I got to a point in which I could understand series and movies already, okay? And at that point, I just started watching one episode every day. Like 40, 45 minutes, 50, 1 hour, 30, half an hour. It depends on the series, okay? But one episode every day, every single day, okay? So no, you're seeing that it's all about interesting resources, interesting activities, so no painful grammar study or memorization, okay? Good. But before going a little bit deeper into the numbers, let's put everything into perspective here. Let's compare those numbers to those actual numbers that you see in the document below to those that people talk about in their videos, like claiming that they learn a language in a month or 3 months or whatever. Okay, so I'm not even gonna bother talking about someone who says they learn a language in 24 hours in a day. It's not worth it. But let's take a week. There are 168 hours in a week. 168, 500. And you're claiming you learn a language in a week? And many of them even claim that they reached fluency. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? That's just impossible. No way, believe me, no way. And I'm not even taking into account the fact that you need to sleep every day and things like that, right? Anyway, so that's just so you see how ridiculous it is, all right? Let's move on to 1 month, because there are a lot of videos like that. 1 month, that's 30 days, okay? So imagine that you could get 15 hours of daily exposure to the language, which is insane. 15 hours, all right, in 30 days. That's 450 hours. So you don't even get to the 500 benchmark yet. This is so ridiculous. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm laughing, but it really pisses me off because, I was super frustrated and I see it every day in a lot of people. Anyway, so let's move on to 3 months, okay? 3 months, that's 90 days. So to get to the 500-hour benchmark, you have to get exposed to the language for 6 hours, approximately 6 hours, a little bit less, 6 hours every day. I'll tell you what, that's highly unlikely to start with, or to say the least, because when you're fluent in a language, you can certainly get six hours daily of exposure to a language, through hanging out with friends, watching series, documentaries, reading books, etc. Right? Because you have access to pretty much any kind of resource you can imagine, right? But when you're starting out with a language, when you're trying to learn a new language, 6 hours, my goodness. I think, technically it would be possible, not like the month or the week, but believe me, no way. Because, if you're going to classes, who's going to teach you? Are you going to be a student for 6 hours a day? My goodness, your brain is going to explode, believe me. Because when you're starting out with the language, an hour or two even gets you tired. So, there's just no way. Are you going to watch cartoons for 6 hours? Good luck with that. I love cartoons. They help me a lot. They're an amazing transition resource, but 6 hours a day. Anyway, yeah. So I just wanted to give you guys a reference point and to put it into perspective, so you see how ridiculous it is, And I have nothing. I have no problem personally with those people posting those videos, but I just wanted to talk about it because I appreciate honesty. I want to give you the truth, facts, and even giving you the truth. Like I said, it's going to be different. It doesn't have to take you 500 hours. It can be a bit more, a bit less. Depends on the language. It depends on the person. It depends on whether you're starting from scratch or not, like I said. So it's just a reference point, so it's not 100% accurate, but I think it's a pretty good, a pretty useful reference point, and most importantly, pretty honest and fact-based, okay? But it just, I'm sorry, but it just pisses me off because it's so frustrating. Anyway, let's move on. So in my journey learning Italian, it actually took me a bit more than a year and a half. Like I'd say 20 months, 21, like somewhere between a year and a half and 2 years. And I'll tell you what, I think a year and a half to be able to communicate in a new language, I think that's pretty good, isn't it? I think it is. And it's realistic, which is important, okay? And again, that doesn't mean fluency, not at all right? But in that moment, you can already communicate in language, in informal situations with friends, and that's a huge improvement. That's the most important step. And you're gonna feel awesome, believe me. And from that point on, all you're gonna have to do is keep doing the same thing, watching series, reading books, hanging out with friends, doing language exchanges, all interesting and useful resources and fun activities, So anyway, yeah, that's what I want to tell you guys, okay? And like I said, here in the first comment, okay, you're gonna see, you're gonna see the document. And like I said, it's in Spanish, but don't worry, you're gonna see the numbers and I'll translate it into English. So it might already be translated when you're watching this video. But I really wanted to make this video. I really want to give you guys an honest and fact-based reference point, okay? And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, okay? And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, all right? If you want to get more videos, more interesting and useful, realistic videos like this one, okay? And have a good day, whatever you might be, my dear language learning master, and I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye.